Yeah, I mean, investing is critical. I gave you the example of the doubling penny and of compounding interest. If you take money and you leave it under your mattress for 40 years till you retire, it's going to be the exact same amount that you put under there before you retired. I think people get very nervous when they're not comfortable with investing, and they think it's this complex, difficult thing that if they're not a finance major, that they don't know how to do. And you'd be amazed. There are really simple tips, and I would turn to Dave Ramsey for this. He gives like basic mutual funds, where to put 25% in growth, 25% in growth and income. And you can call any company, you can call Fidelity, you can call Vanguard, you can call anybody and say, I'd like to invest $1,000. I'd like to invest $500. I want them in index linked mutual funds. You don't have to be a finance major to know how to do that. So that's a very important piece. People often find that the $50,000 that's been sitting in their savings account is not doing anything, but magically that same $50,000 that was put into their 401k or their retirement account is at $500,000 because somebody was investing that money. And don't worry so much about where you're investing it. Don't worry about what's going to happen to it in the next 3 months. If it's for retirement, if it's for later use, invest early and invest often. You don't have to become a stock picker, but go with things that are just basic mutual funds. And over time, again, I can't, I'm not a Navi, I can't predict the future, but the stock market over the last 100 years has averaged, I think it's 12%. So that is something that I think is important for people of all ages to know.
I don't think you're being completely fair to the savings accounts. They are growing. That 10 cents, every couple months. I think it's really big. It's not staying the same. They'll probably make $1 or so every few years.
So Joseph, you stick with that. Exactly.
Okay, yeah, another just very last follow up, and then we're going to wrap up.
Sure.
A lot of people are going towards apps. There's lots of them. eToro. There's plenty of small investing apps out there right now. What would you say? Would you tell people to invest on their own, try them out, or get the advice of a professional and go to one of the big companies like you mentioned earlier?
So I don't, I'll be honest, I've never used any of those apps. I do a lot with I tried out a lot of the budgeting apps, the mint.com and the everydollar.com to make sure that anything that I was recommending use and that I knew what I was talking about. I personally budget on my Excel spreadsheet. If I'm tracking expenses, I do it straight on my phone. So that works for me. But I wanted to be able to offer apps, suggestions to clients. Regarding, I know there's a Squirrel and Acorn and all those Robinhood. I don't have a problem with them. And again, any investing is good investing. The only thing that makes me nervous are people who are too nervous to invest and therefore they just leave the money, like you said, Joseph, sitting there for their 10 cents every 6 months. That's not a good idea. If people have, more significant funds, if they're getting closer to retirement and they're in a financial position where they have a little bit more money and they're a little bit more nervous, I will recommend an investment advisor. Now, we have a few that we've worked with who have been wonderful. And for me, wonderful just means they take the time, they explain, they're not looking to do something fabulous. Anyone who says to me, we can beat the market, you lost me. If you can follow this market, you're in business, good for you. So I think as long as people are investing and they're doing mutual funds, and if they're not savvy and they're doing just basic things, again, linked to the market, index funds, things that are just very basic and general, I think they'll do great. I don't, will they make $10 more? Will they make 15% this year or 13%? I'm not as worried. I do ask people, I'll say, hey, you've got an investment advisor. What was the performance over the last 2 years? And when someone says, oh, I'm up 4% for 2 years, if you're up 4% only for the last 2 years, you need to reconsider who's got your money. But other than that, you understand where I'm going.